man don't know shit. I might not know shit, but I know enough. I might not know shit, but I know enough. You might call me dumb, but I have a lot of fun. I might not know shit, but I know enough. Episode 31. This is going to be a good one. I played only one show with this man, and we met very briefly. It was at a Montreal Ska Fest. His name's Travis Nelson, otherwise known as Sinister Rev of the Hub City Stompers, and also Inspector 7. I want to get to the bottom of how all that works out and the relationship between that. And I think we had one shot together and it was super fast. So, I never really got to know him, but I can tell you he's a fantastic live performer. So check them out. And so we're about to do this. And don't forget, there's a link underneath the video, the PayPal link. And that's for the Be a Producer program. And any tip, whether it's 25 cents, 50 cents, $1, $2, whatever it is, you become the producer of the next episode, which brings us to Mr. Jason Manning. You are the producer of episode 31. Thank you very much, sir. Yes. All right, so don't forget to punch the subscribe button and slap the bell and all that jazz. And here we go. My man, Travis, how are you doing? The Rev in the house.
Happening.
Doing good, man. The last time we saw each other was at a Montreal Ska Fest. Actually, I was just looked into it. We played twice together. Well, one year you were with Inspector 7 and we weren't on the same night. Then one year we were on the same night and that was with Hub City Stompers. And I remember we had a shot of whiskey and you had a big tall boy of beer and it was all a whirl of Yahoo-ness. And that was about it. But I'm like, man, this guy's got it.
You may be wrong about, I don't know if I drink whiskey, actually. Just kidding.
Well, in that case, hey, cheers, man.
Salute.
Boom, salute.
So 2013 was the one I-7 played. In that big long room. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, at Cafe Campus.
Is that what it was? It was near like a TV studio or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, maybe just adjust your camera a little bit. I see you from the nose under right now.
Oh yeah, the top
there
of my head there. There we
go. Yeah, man.
And then we played that other one together as with HCS on that place with the second floor. I just remember it was upstairs.
Yeah, that's the one. That was the Cafe Campus. The other one was somewhere else. I can't remember. Everything's kind of foggy, you know?
Who are you telling?
Right?
Old and senile. I barely remembered we had this tonight.
That's right. Where are you at, man?
I'm down here at my house in Dirty Jersey.
In Dirty Jersey, eh? How are things down there right 7. Now?
Good. Just holding it down in the coronacalypse and.
Well, that's it. Do you guys have any measures like lockdowns or curfews or anything like that going on?
Not curfews anymore or anything like that. It's been loosening more and more. It's a lot of stuff's at limited capacity and all that. But it's been opening up very gradually.
Yeah.
More and more, which I'm fine with. I mean, truth be told, I think things are a little too open now because we're not quite out of the woods yet. We got the, vaccine and all that, but everyone's acting like it's over and it's not. This winter is going to be hairy.
Yeah, man, I feel you. I'm lucky. I just got vaccinated a couple of weeks ago, though, and because I work with a lot of street youth and stuff like that, so they put us on the priority list.
Listen,
and I feel like totally privileged to have been vaccinated because not many people are yet.
If you can get on the list, God bless. I mean, I'm at the end. I'm at the end of it here in Jersey, so I'll be one of the last people to get it, which is fine considering I tested positive last Wednesday.
Oh shit! How are you feeling?
I've been completely symptomless, but I know that's not the case for a lot of people. In fact, the day before, I tested positive for the Wednesday, February 3rd test I took. The day before, we found out that our friend Carmen had passed away from COVID on my birthday, actually, Tuesday, February 2nd.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, he's the guy who ran the Hub City Stompers, the rehearsal studio where we rehearse. And he was a great guy, and he just got it really bad and was on a ventilator for most of the time and just took a turn for the worse. So
It's crazy. I just
you
had
know,
Eddie from Voodoo Glow Skulls on here, and he had a bunch of family members that passed away as well from the Rona. And
yep.
yeah, man, I know what you mean when you're saying like, are we opening too fast as well? And people think we're out of the woods because I mean, unless it really gets low, I mean, it's just going to come back anytime you open up, you know, you got to squash it almost completely and then open that up.
Yeah, and numbers are going down. You know, I check it like daily. I've been religious, looking at actual, you know, not necessarily the news, but looking at actual scientific numbers from legitimate sources that actually record it, and they are going down, and the vaccine numbers are going up. So it's good. It's just going to be a gradual thing, though. I can't run, you know. And I was relatively careful, you know, and I somehow nabbed it.
Well, that's it. I mean, you can get it anywhere. You can get it at the corner store just touching something. Everybody that thinks, oh, they know how they got it. They're so wrong because who knows, really, you know?
Yeah, my entire bubble tested negative. Everyone around me, and you know, I mean, I found out. Well, yeah, the day after my birthday, and I at my mom's the night before. You know, small gathering with just the bubble that I'm always around. My, you know, Snow Queen, my kids, my ex-wife and her boyfriend, because we're all, you know, we all get along. We're all like just family. They live right around the corner, and my mom. And we had a small gathering over there, and everyone else tested negative. That's not where it's from. I must have gotten it before that, but obviously they ran out and got tested to, you know, and they got second tested, and everyone's still negative. So I don't know. I was the winner.
Right on, man. Well, you know, at least you're healthy and young and in shape, right?
Healthy and young. I don't know about the in shape part. Actually, healthy, I'll say. I don't know about the young and in shape part.
There you go. I think we're probably in the same boat, man.
I was going to say, yeah, we'll nix that. We'll nix that assessment.
Right. Have you been able to keep busy at all with music during all this wackiness?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like writing stuff and everything, obviously we haven't played show since HCS's last show was in December of 2019.
Shit.
Steel Toe Solution, my other band, our last show was January of 2020. In March, we stopped practicing altogether, obviously. We started having, over the summer, we started having kind of like quasi practices, not the full band, like Jenny and James, our horn players, they sat those out. And we didn't do it at our rehearsal studio because we weren't comfortable.
Yeah.
With doing it there, people in and out and everything. So we just did it in our guitarist Jay's basement. You know, it was big enough where we could all spread out and be away from each other, and it's just 5 of us. We did some of those over the summer, and then we stopped again, just because conditions were getting, you know, worse.
Well, that's it. For us, it was exactly the same thing. We everything kind of chilled out for a bit, and you know, we're in this big building with all kinds of lofts in it for a rehearsal space, and you know, then they're saying everything's good, and you know, we were super careful, and we have enough space, luckily, to be really spread out and that kind of thing. But then it just got worse again, so we haven't been able to jam in so long, man. And we're supposed to get in the studio in April to start a new album, but fuck, I mean, we're not even you know rehearsing right now. I'm writing as much as I can at home, but man, it's not the same. That's for sure.
Yeah, everyone's scribbling down their own things here. You know, I just Jay wrote a couple songs that I just listened to tonight, you know, on the Google Drive, and cool, you know, we're gonna have like 3 albums worth of stuff by the time we come back. You know? But other than that, yeah, we've just been doing those, you know, those virtual performance videos that we've done. We released some of those. We're about to release a new one, and with this new one, we're actually releasing a new single.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but a brand spanking new song, at least we can get out of this. So we're going to release it in the form of the virtual video, but I'm probably going to have it, you know, available for sale on like Bandcamp or something like that as well. So that'll be coming up probably in the next few weeks.
Is that through a label, or are you doing that on your own?
We're just doing that on our own. We'll probably re-record it, you know, with a label on a full-length album when we're back in action, you know.
It's so funny you say that. For us, it's exactly the same. We did 3 or 4 of these types of videos, and it was a lot of fun. But I mean, everybody's recording on their phones and stuff like this, so quality isn't, you know, at its peak. And one of the songs I know we're going to re-record when we hit the studio as well. Exactly the same thing. But listen, I got a question for you. every time I mention, Hub City Stompers, people always talk about Inspector 7. And then I kind of looked into it, but like not too much. Just I know there is a relationship, but I'd like to clear that up. What exactly is the relationship? Because if I'm not mistaken, what I'm thinking is you were playing with Inspector 7, then Hub City, then back, and kind of doing this kind of thing. But I'm not sure if it's the same band, different name, or if it's a.
No, the long and short of it is, I was in Inspector 7 for 20 years as frontman, co-frontman, myself and Giuseppe Mancini were the two frontmen. Those 20 years being 1994 to 2014. Inspector 7 started out as a ska band in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Initially in 1992, they were called the Agent 86, hence the title of one of the Inspector 7 songs. And then changed their name to Crash Bars in 93. And then towards the end of 93, they changed their name to Inspector 7 towards the end of 93, beginning of 94. I was just their, when Agent 86 came out, I was their drunk show-going friend.
Yeah, man.
I was roommates with them, and I was just a drunken, New Brunswick skinhead who was very enthused because at the time there weren't really a lot of ska bands in New Jersey. There was Panic, which went on to become Bigger Thomas, and that was about it at the time, really. So when cool, my friends are starting another ska band. This is great, and there's friends of mine from the Jersey punk scene and hardcore scene, just the underground music scene in general.
And you're quite young at this point.
Yeah, well, that was 92. I was 21.
Right on.
So, living in Bromfist, being a drunk. Occasionally bopping over to France, but when I wasn't in France, I was in New Brunswick, New Jersey, or Trenton, which is also where I came up in the New Jersey hardcore scene.
Okay.
So they started a band, and I was their enthusiastic show go and support and dancing around like a drunken fool at every Agent 86 and Crash Bar show. And hanging out at the practices because it was at the house where we lived on Welton Street. And then they asked me about joining. They said, oh, you got a great presence out there. They're kind of half joking, like you should join the band. As I think they wanted me to be the toaster or something, or whatever. You do pick it ups and blah blah. I was just like, and at first I was like, no, that what they were describing, it sounded like they wanted me to be like the Flavor Flav of ska. I go out past. Like, you write songs and do that, So when they eventually made it seem like more of a co-frontman role, I was like, well, yeah, sure, it sounds fun. So I sat in on some of the attic practices at the Gingerbread House, and this was right after they started calling themselves Inspector 7, and I joined the band shortly after. I think the first show I performed at was February '94 at the Melody Bar in New Brunswick, if I'm not mistaken. And that was that. Rest is history. I was in Inspector 7, and he's toured
that
here
must
and
be
there.
really
Played
fun.
Montreal. Played some shows in Montreal.
Yeah, man.
Did some limited touring, East Coast stuff. Signed to Radical Records. Did a couple albums on Radical Records. Toured nationally. Rode out the ska heyday in the mid '90s as much as we could. I mean, back then we definitely were very skinhead centric and had a big skinhead following. So, that alone kept us from enjoying, some of the success of some of the other '90s ska bands and all. But still, we had a great time, and we did a shit ton of national tours, and then as the wave started dying out and everything, and we kept touring pretty much up until 2000, I'd say. And but I don't know, everyone's just seemed like they were getting kind of done and
a little
funked
burnout,
and jaded and burnout. And I mean, I wanted to keep going. I was ready to, but I don't know, it just kind of fizzled out. We did one last tour with Mustard Plug, Bouncing Souls, who are our buddies, our homies from Jersey, and Youth Brigade. Did an East Coast tour with them. And then that was the last tour we did. I don't know. That was in 2000, and then everything just kind of stopped. It just fizzled out, and we weren't even practicing. And, after months and months, I was just kind of like, well, what's going on? I go, are we going to have like a last show? Are we breaking up? And I don't know. It was just kind of like, there was no stated thing of what happened, but it was just kind of done. Everyone was done.
You just kind of fizzled slowly, huh?
Yeah. So I wasn't done though. I was like, well, I'm going to keep playing. I'm starting a new band. So
yeah, man.
There about half of the I7 members at the time were like, well, yeah, we want to keep going too. So they came over and we were, obviously going to keep playing, Inspector 7 material that they wrote and I had written and performed, Sleeping with the Enemy, Sharky 17, Hub City Stompers, things like that. And so we were talking about band names and stuff. And actually, the Hub City Stompers band name wasn't even my idea. It was Scoochie's idea. Eric Schroeder, who's also a founding member of Inspector 7, who came over to Hub City Stompers with me at the time. And
cool.
He suggested Hub City Stompers. I was like, because I said, I don't want to be Inspector 8, I don't want to be Inspector 7 Part 2, the sequel.
Right.
I want to write new stuff. And, he goes, well, okay. And I wasn't going to call it Inspector 7 because it was technically a new band. You know what I'm saying? There's certain elements that weren't there. So I didn't feel right calling it Inspector 7. So he suggested Hub City Stompers. It's a song title that was an Inspector 7 song that I had written back in '94 about the skinhead mod punk crew that was in New Brunswick at the time, called Hub City Stompers. Lasted from '92 to '94. And so he goes, let's just call it that. It's related to Inspector 7. And, a lot of us were in the actual crew, Hub City Stompers. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So we just called it Hub City Stompers, because it was kind of like a continuation of Inspector 7. Yes. Which had, I don't know what to call it, hiatus, whatever you want to call it. So That was that. We started playing, I formed the band by summer of 2002. We did a song on Megalith Records, their first release, that big 4 CD comp they put out.
What was the title of that again?
Still Standing.
That's it, yeah.
Still Standing was like a gajillion ska bands that I didn't even realize were still playing at the time, because we really formed in what I thought was like the doldrums of the ska scene. But so we released a song of that, Night of the Living, and then took off from there. Had a lineup change. Probably the most significant lineup change in 2004. Scooch left. Our original bass player Chris left. Dustin DK left. There was a big lineup change because a lot of people couldn't. I guess I didn't realize how much I wanted to tour and keep going with this. And
there's always that
commitments,
separation, right? When you change levels there, or when somebody wants to really push and take it to another level, that's where you kind of figure out who can and who can't, and it's not a judgment whatsoever. It's
no, not at all. They just, it means they were making livings and doing things, and and that was the main part of it. And who knows, maybe musically they wanted to do something. Who knows? But the bottom line is that 2004 is when Reggae Bob took over on bass, and Jenny Whiskey came in, and Matty Glock on guitar. And so
I got to say, you surrounded yourself really well.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a turning point and a very defining point in the sound and a lot of things that happened. So in the meantime, though, Giuseppe comes back and is like, yeah, well, let's start playing Inspector 7 shows again. I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ, I got HCS going on. So in 2003, we started doing what we were calling Inspector 7 reunion shows, because I guess we had kind of broken up and whatever, but we started playing again. So we play these shows maybe like twice a year. Usually pretty local, New York, New Jersey. And they would pack out like, oh, cool, Inspector 7's playing again.
For sure, yeah, man.
And I think the fact that it was only twice a year, helped. And, so he did that for a while, up until about 2012. And at that time, HCS was starting to go through another lineup change. Our drummer, Nuno, was leaving. He's having a kid and had to, change his schedule. And Giuseppe was talking about, bringing I7 back full time. And I was like, I can't do both. It's impossible, because HCS was just, we had this traction, we were going,
Well, that's it. You guys play a lot, right?
Yeah. We touring like crazy. We had, how many albums did we have? I think 4 albums by that point out. And I was like, I had, 2 kids of my own. I can't do 2 full-time bands, man. It's not gonna happen. HCS stretches me enough as it is, and I had Steel Toe Solution on the side. Even we only play 3 times a year, but
Yeah.
But so we decided to. He's talking about doing it full time, and so I basically that summer of 2012, I talked to him about it. Had a series of talks with him at the house, like, well, if we're gonna do it, this is the only way I can do it, because I'm not gonna just be like, all right, peace HCS, I7. I can't do that. I'm not gonna also dump 10 years of material.
For sure. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So it had to be some sort of kind of like a merger or some sort of, I had to incorporate HCS into it somehow. So, we talked about all the terms and the way it would have to work. And I mean, before I even got the phrases out of my mouth, he was agreeing, because he really wanted to have I7 back full time, and kind of like it was. Granted, it was a very different landscape. It wasn't like it was in the 90s, and I wasn't sure if he understood that or not. It's but and we hadn't been playing as regularly as the Slackers and the Pie Tasters, and you know what I mean. So
yeah,
we weren't going to be commanding the same type of audience necessarily. Same type of guarantees, same type of deal. It wasn't. So
that's where you realize how valuable the road work is, right?
Exactly.
You got to stay on the road, man.
Yeah, you could say, oh, we've been around for this time. Well, yeah, and you played, Jersey, New York for 10 of those years or 9 of those years. So what? You know? So it's there's things you got to take into account. So we literally talked about it for like half a year. Finally agreed, and then essentially. It was almost like he joined Hub City Stompers, essentially. Picked up, 1 or 2 new members that had happened to join around that time. But essentially, that's kind of like what it was, It's a lot of the original Inspector 7 members who weren't even in there. Now, mind you, Inspector 7 had a shit ton of lineup changes even throughout the 90s. I mean, if you went back and looked at all the I7 members, it'd be like an orchestra.
It's rare you actually hear of a ska band that, because often there's more than 3 members in a ska band. So it's hard to keep, one core for, when you play for that many years. I mean, life gets in the way, you got to be able to adapt. That's for sure.
Yep. But that said, there was certain personnel in I7 who I saw as quintessential I7, there's just certain people,
the core, right?
And they weren't there. It's Giuseppe and myself and pretty much the newest, and the lineup of HCS and with some newer members who were new at that time. It was a great lineup. It was amazing, very talented. But I kind of went into it with mixed feelings about that, but there was no other way I couldn't do it any other way.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell HCS to fuck off, like it wasn't gonna happen. So we included HCS songs in the set, and it was on paper it looked like this amazing idea. This mega band, this soup, you know what I mean, and the whole lineup and everything's coming full circle, and it just didn't work out. It lasted about a year. A lot of the stuff we agreed on suddenly wasn't agreed on anymore, and I don't know. It was just there was a lot of tension and bridges being burned. I do things a certain way. He did certain things a certain way, but I did a lot of the booking and stuff. So I had to be the ambassador, and put out the fires. And
so you had the weight on your shoulders, right?
Yeah, I think it was about like, I had a bad feeling from the first gig that we had in February of 2013. But I was like, nah, this will work out. It'll be good. And then by August, I was like, this isn't going to work out. So I toughed it out. I think I had to talk with them that fall. And, just had a man-to-man talk. It's like, listen, I can't do this anymore. This is supposed to be my passion. This is the big passion in my life. I'm not even enjoying it. Like, why do I do this,
Well, it's cool that you were able to recognize that, because so many people pass that line and just aren't happy. You know what I mean? And yet you had something else that's on fire and it's catching fire and it's going. I mean, with Hub City Stompers, I was listening to it. I took a shower. Yes, I took a shower today, right before we sat down, and I put on your newest album, the one on Apple Music. It was Blood, Sweat, and Years. Oh, yeah. Man, one thing do you write the lyrics in general for the band? Man, I love the sense of humor that you throw into songs. I'm literally taking a shower, and then it's like, while I was out working, you were jerking the gherkin and all this kind of stuff. And I literally cracked up in the shower just like, minutes before we sat down here right now. It's great. I love it when
mind comes out of my twisted mind. There you go.
Well, that's it, because I have a feeling that, you, in your lyrics and in your sound, I tend to think, there's a certain heaviness sometimes with Hub City Stompers. But when you balance it off with humor like that, that's definitely the way to go for sure, man. It's great.
You have to. So yeah, we split up. Giuseppe and I parted ways at the. I agreed to do a few more shows through the end of the year in the beginning of 2014 that we had booked. And then we were going to part ways after that. I told the rest of the band, y'all can do what you want. I'm just letting I'm starting Hub City Stompers again. I never should have stopped it. It was silly. There was a whole lot of I told you so's, and I had to eat some crow. And but I told them, if you actually want to stay with G and do I-7, no hard feelings, it's cool. But the whole lineup actually decided to come over back to Hub City with me. So that was it's like I won all the kids in the divorce. It was
must have been quite a relief though.
Well, it was a relief. I didn't have to. I remember hunting down members when I first started HES. I was like, oh my God, I don't have to do that again. But I knew some people were already definitely going to come back.
Speaking of members in Hub City, Jenny Whiskey. Man, girl's on fire. I love her attitude and energy and singing as well, because she sings some songs as well, right? I don't know if a lot of people know that, but because I think a lot of people tend to visualize you as the frontman, but she definitely sticks her elbows out and takes her place very well.
I've always said I always wish I write more songs for Jenny to sing, because she can actually sing. She's an actual singer. I'm a vocalist. She's an actual singer. Like her voice is amazing. And then you mix it with the horn, and she's just a presence. She's just a force to be reckoned with. And I certainly don't take that for granted.
One thing that's really interesting about that is that I tend to use horn players as backup singers a lot, because there is something to be said about that. If you're blowing notes and horns, they're often more note savvy singers than a lot of frontmen are, right? So often I find the horn players will bring in, the chorus melodies, while people like you and me are
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, man. So bless all you horn players out there.
Yeah, I don't even say. I don't just look at her as like a horn player. She's like I do look at her as like a co-front person. Which
that makes sense. Yeah,
I don't know. I like that dynamic too. Anyway, I just we play off each other very well. We have the same kind of fucked up brain in a lot of ways, and dark sense of humor, and so yeah, and we're neighbors. She and Rob live right down the street, so.
All right, on that makes it handy for sure. Hey, I got to ask you about culture. Growing up, you from what I understand, one parent was black, one parent was white. Is that correct so far?
Well, no. So I was born of a black father and a white mother. Yes.
Okay.
But I was not raised by those two.
Oh, okay.
I was actually put up for I was born in 1971 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and put up for adoption shortly thereafter, and adopted shortly thereafter, actually, in infancy. I was actually raised by two white parents.
All right.
But it was always known and understood that I was black, and that I was of mixed heritage. Now, I grew up making the joke Black Irish, because my adoptive mother, Ann Patricia McHugh, she's Irish. So I always made the joke, haha, Black Irish. And then it turns out I did eventually, it's come 20 years ago, link up with my biological family.
Oh, wow.
I was adopted from Catholic Charities, and I decided to pursue a search, and I found out, just the general info. I wasn't actually expecting to meet anybody or anything, but they provide you with, info without naming names and tell you your whole story. It's like, wow, this is cool. And they tell you the ethnicity, and it's like, oh, and it turns out my birth mother was of Irish heritage, actually, not 100% Irish, but mostly Irish, German, Pittsburgh, So so I was like, well, look at that, I am Black Irish.
That's
quote,
right.
unquote, the joke.
No, absolutely.
So I wound up actually tracking down my biological parents and meeting them. They weren't together anymore by any means, but I found them separately. I linked up with both sides of the family, the paternal side and the maternal side. I've had a relationship with them for years as well.
Wow, that's impressive, because I don't think that happens very often, really, in a positive way. Because I know some people that, from my work and stuff, some youth, it's often a question and they want to know, they want some answers about, who they are and all this kind of thing, but it doesn't always end so well.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
My sister who I grew up with, she was adopted, and she was mixed and adopted as well. And she had a curiosity, I guess, just not as strong as mine. She never wound up, she considered pursuing it after I did, and then she's like, nah, I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm very glad I did. It wasn't a very emotional thing for me, just because I'm a freak and I have intimacy issues, I guess. But it was very mental for me. I had such a strong curiosity, and I'm so happy I did it. I mean, I met some amazing people in my new family too. So
Yeah. No, that's super interesting. And the reason I was wondering a bit culturally is because, like, I'm wondering where your musical being came from, and then into the scenes that you ended up being in. So I'm kind of trying to trace that path. You know what I mean?
Well, I've always loved music since I was a little kid. And even when I was a little kid, it wasn't little kid, romper room stuff I was listening to. It was the radio, and it was rock and this and that. And, when I was in second grade, I was Ace Frehley for Halloween, and, and like Kiss. And then I got into the Police. And so I always liked music. And then my older brother, actually, he the first time I heard any kind of underground music was through him, be it punk rock, ska, reggae, hip hop. It all was blaring from his room. And so, in the early 80s, I would creep into his room and check out his tapes and his, Special Beat and Husker Du and Madness and Black Flag and, Run DMC. And I got hooked, I instantly got hooked. And then, when we grew up and started getting along a little better, he started sharing it with me. And then I wound up pursuing it on my own, as, in middle school and everything. And then but I fell in love with punk rock. And then, I got involved in the New Jersey, it starts out, localized. I lived with, my parents got divorced in 1980. And my mom lived in the suburbs in Hopewell, and my dad lived in Trenton, and go back and forth. And I'd meet people in Trenton, and I knew people in Hopewell, and the very small minority that listened to that music as well. And it would expand. And there was a local club in Trenton called City Gardens, which I started going to in the 80s. And it was the place. Like you name some big band in punk or ska or alternative, many other reggae, whatever, and industrial metal, and they played there. I guarantee it.
Right on.
It was just
and that in the 80s, that's back when you could get in underage and they didn't really care that much, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they're all ages shows. I mean, even CB's had all ages shows. When I started going to CB's not long after that. I'd start. I was mostly in the Trenton scene, but I would go up to New Brunswick. Had a scene, and New York, obviously. I mean, we had a place in New York. So, and my brother wound up moving to New York, so I was there a lot. I was going to CB's and going home and crashing on his couch at 3 a.m. Chagrin. So that's, I came up in the hardcore scene, but I had an appreciation for all kinds of underground music. The guy who ran City Gardens used to make who booked for it, at least, used to make a joke like, you and my friend Alex, you guys should start a ska band. I was like, yeah, like I'm ever going to be in a ska band, because I was a hardcore guy, Don't get me wrong, I'd see, Gorilla Biscuits one weekend, then I'd go and see Bad Manners the next,
man.
That's the way it was. It was just, then I'd see, Black Uhuru, and then I'd see freaking Delight, and
fucking Black Uhuru,
Planets, and BDP.
Black Uhuru. My mom used to play that vinyl on Sundays, and the whole house would smell like weed while she's vacuuming and shit. And we'd go, do you remember when the place used to run like a cowboy town? Oh man, we used to, every Sunday I'd hear that album. I love it.
My friend Mike Thorndike in high school, he introduced me to most of the reggae that I came to know. and I'll always appreciate him for it because Black Uhuru became one of my favorite reggae bands and has stayed. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, that's wild. In a lot of your songs, like I shouldn't say a lot of songs, here and there anyway, you talk about skinhead culture. And I think that's really interesting for one main reason, because I have a lot of different spheres in my life. I play ska, I play reggae, I've been around this my whole life, right? And I also work with, street youth and stuff like that, where I'm surrounded by social workers and, these types of people. And I love both sides of my life extremely. And whenever you mention a word like skinhead around social workers and stuff like that, everything is negative, everything is scary, everything is wrong, right? And yet in reggae and ska, going way back and stuff, and Black culture and stuff like this, you would hear about skinheads. It's like, it's so weird because it hasn't translated, I think, through the 2000s so much, like the history of it. I'm not sure about, maybe in Jersey, in Montreal, it's kind of perhaps different, you know what I mean? And were there large skinhead crowds at the shows when you were coming up? And
yeah, that's how I got into it. There's
a
shit ton of skinheads in New Jersey and New York. Hardcore scene, are you kidding? It was mostly skinheads. It was, so yeah, I've never been in. But that said, I mean, you talk about social workers and everyone else who it depends who you're talking to. You're not the people in the underground scene know what's what.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I mean, especially back then, it was all in the news, the late '80s and stuff, and the talk shows, and I mean that's all that was covered was the hijackers,
I love that expression, the hijackers. That's really great, actually.
Well, yeah, their shenanigans are the ones that are going to make the news. Why would they report on us, I mean, every once in a while, there was, I think, what was it, 93? It was 93, it was, and ABC New York was doing some expose on, skinheads, but in their mind, skinheads, they're talking about Nazis,
Yeah, exactly.
And I can't believe it, but I guess they must have gotten wind of, there is such a thing as, non-racist skinheads. So they tried to do that. God bless them, they tried to do this blurb on us, skinheads who weren't Nazis. And they got me. It was me, Rabies, Frank Oxblood. There's a whole bunch of us. They caught us after a Warzone show, and talked to us in some stairwell. And the thing is, she wanted to portray us as these militant, anti-racist. That's all she wanted to focus on. She didn't want to focus on like just the general origins of the skinhead culture. She, in her brain, they were almost presenting it like Nazi skinheads are a thing, and there's this new trend of anti-racist skinheads, like, you know what I mean, like they're trying to, like, it's just like,
and they sensationalize it like it's always a war going on, and
they made it seem like it was a reaction because of Nazis, as opposed to what it was originally, and the Nazis were the ones that hijacked it. So I'm there trying to explain this to her for 20 minutes. Of course, she uses none of my film. They do a shot of me sitting there looking, you know what I mean, and they talk to Frank about, because he was talking about beating up Nazis, and so that's all they wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear about
they want the drama,
the sensation.
Exactly. Because like I gave up ever even trying to explain it in my social work field, because it's just like you're going nowhere. You know what I mean? Like,
you start out doing your skinhead 101 to everybody, and you get bored of it.
Well, that's it exactly, right?
Plus, why do I gotta explain myself to everyone? Why do I gotta apologize?
Very good point.
Like, and you're like fuck this. You know what? Yeah, I'm a Nazi. Okay, yeah, I'm black, but yeah, sure. Whatever.
That's crazy. Cheers, man.
Meanwhile, you're fighting the freaking Nazis at the clubs too. Little do they know.
I don't know if there's still a lot of that culture, going on over where you are and stuff. I mean, here in the late 80s and 90s, you heard about it more, but then it kind of, not too much. Actually, in the early 2000s. Well, no, you get that, but not as like the skinhead side of it so much. You know what I mean? Like, or at least you don't hear about it so much. But then, every once in a while, there's some kind of.
Well, they were a big presence down here in the 80s and early 90s, definitely. I mean, that club I talked about, City Gardens, it was there was like a 5-year period of just war, you know,
Yeah.
and they didn't really stop coming around to like 92, I'd
Mhm.
say, you know, it was 87, 88, they were hanging out pretty comfortably, you know. And I think 89 is when everyone kind of banded together and was like, you know what, fuck this shit. You know, all the straight edge
Yeah,
kids and skins and punks and everyone's just, you know, started fighting them. And it was about
It
3 years.
reminds me
Yeah,
of the
3
whole
years.
bully concept, right? You know, I mean, it's like you take it, you're intimidated, then everybody kind of gets together. Okay, enough. We got to stop letting them bully us and, you know, try to take our scene and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like a weekly thing. You'd be like, oh, it's you know, is this group showing up? Is that group showing up? And by 92, they realized just it wasn't fun for them to come around anymore. And,
Yeah.
I think there was one final last stand at a Fear show, which was nuts, where they all came. They must have networked or something, and all came out of the woodwork, and of course, a big riot broke out. But then I didn't really see them after that at that club, at least. You know, and they went on. Yeah, they were still a presence in Northeast Pennsylvania and whatnot, and did their own shows and their own gigs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, eventually it kind of, you know, it's definitely not a thing like it was, you know, 25 years ago.
Knocking on wood, you know.
30 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, man.
It's not around here.
So what's going on with Hub City? You guys going to be recording anything soon?
Not soon, no. I mean, we haven't even been able to practice.
Soon, right?
We're going to release this one single I was talking about, and then you know, once we're able to rehearse again, and there's things are a little more green light, and people are vaccinated, and numbers are down more. You know, we're chomping at the bit. Believe me, we really want to, but it's just.
I got no
just being
doubt,
smart
man.
about it. We're just being cautious about it. People are asking me to play shows and stuff, and I'm telling people, you know, there's nothing I can commit to before the summer.
Exactly. And what a lot of bands don't realize, or they realize after, you know, like some bands are booking these big shows. And you know, I think, you know, it's a good thing, but there's a lot of backlash that comes with that as well. It's not time for that. You know what I mean?
Even the backlash. I mean, I you know, it's HCS. We don't exactly give a fuck what people think about us. But
I love it.
But it's just our collective, you know, we're not all of one hive mind, you know, be it politically on everything else, we're all over the place. But in general, we have the sense where we realize, look, we gotta wait until, you know, it just doesn't make sense. It's not a responsible thing to do, even practicing right now. I mean, hello, I just tested positive last week, so you know, that's not
well, that's it, eh?
So you know, so yeah, maybe, you know. Maybe if things get better, maybe we start practicing sometime in the spring, or we're doing those limited practices we were doing once things are a little more clear and down. Show wise, summer's a big maybe. Fall looks more likely. I'd love to record because, well, A, we have all this new material we're writing, and B, I mean, 2022 is going to be 20 years of HCS. So,
oh shit, eh?
I think
20 years.
I think by summer, fall of 2022, there best be like a new album out. You know what I'm saying? If 20th anniversary, something. You know.
Well, it's so fucked up, right? Because like just like us, I think your last album came out in 2019. Is that correct?
Yeah, Blood, Sweat, and Years, which itself was a redoing of a lot of our early material. Really.
Right.
But that was that was 2019. Shit.
Yeah, because I
right before this hit.
Because what happened to us is we just got our permits to play in the States. We did 2 shows and then the Rona hit, and so like we paid for our permits for a year and we lost so much fucking money, brother. It was fucked up, you know. And then we were stranded at the border and all this, you know, shit. But you know, the album, once pandemic's over, you know, even though we didn't get to tour it the way we wanted to. You know what I mean? By the time pandemic's over, it's going to be an old album, you know, it's, you know, it'll be 2-3 years old by the time we can really get rolling again, you know. But I say this because you guys as well, you guys tour a lot, man, right?
Yep.
You know, how are you living the down from not being able to be on the road? I'm having a hard time, and I think the whole album is going to be about it.
I mean, you know, I'm feeling like a crackhead here. I'm like dying, you know, but again, I've got my feet on the ground, you know, I'm based in reality. I realize it's just, but I'm going nuts, you know. I mean, anyone in my band can tell you like how crazy I am about booking and how I like to keep us busy and put us all over the place. So, I warned him. I was like, listen, when we get the green light, I hope y'all are ready, because
That's it. But it's fucked up too, because I was talking with another buddy of mine on this show not too long ago, and it's like, once the green light happens, though, every single band in the world is going to be on the phone that day trying to book.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then, so there's only X amount of venues, and a lot of venues are going through a hard time as well and closing down and stuff like this. So it's like, you know, even when the green light happens, just to be able to get the shows rolling with so many bands booking at once, it's going to be fucking.
I got some very specific plans for when it starts, and then what happens after that happens after that. I feel like a lot of promoters, you know, and what venues and promoters are left are going to be reaching out, so I have confidence in them. But as far as what I have planned for when, you know, when we start, I'm going to be pretty specific, and I'm sure we'll be fine as far as, because I'm going to set it off here in Jersey first. We do Jersey, New York, and just spiral out from there. You know, first two shows back, mark my words, Jersey and New York are going to be your first. Depending though, because I know what you were saying about, you know, losing money, you know, because of what you had planned. But I mean, there's also promoters who had festivals, but Supernova. I mean, Jesus, poor Tim. Tim and April, man, and that whole team. Oh gosh, like I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Putting, you know what I mean? Granted, yeah, it was 6 months off, but still there was so much invested and planned, and then it just got zonked, you know.
Well, that's it. Well,
so
you realize,
you know,
I like it because you're an artist that realizes also that part of the team is the promoters, is the venues, is the people working sound. You know, it's all one team, man.
Well, yeah, there's especially for that fest, there's a lot of people involved, because to pull off something, I mean, it's an awesome fest. So to pull off something like that, you need an army.
Yeah, I've never been to that one. You know, I'd love to, but
yeah, well, I mean, hey, check it out. We're not sure when it's gonna be. You know, there's speculation as to speculation as to whether it's supposed to be June or whether it's supposed to be September, depending on, you know. I still haven't heard yet. Honestly, even on the inside, I haven't heard.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. But if you can make it, it's worth it. They do a really good job. And HCS per se isn't playing the next one, at least not currently to what I know. But we're doing a project called Droogs Don't Run.
Oh, cool.
Is a mix of Hub City Stompers members, former original Inspector 7 members, and Squidats members. And we're going to play like all our material.
Right on, man.
That's going to be a party.
Well, that's it. Get everybody together and out there, right?
Yeah. Yep. Hey,
Travis, it's fucking great to see you, man. Now, to wrap this up, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. And here's the first 3 are, I need 3 albums that everybody should listen to at least once, and 1 guilty pleasure that people would be surprised that you like. What you got for me?
Albums in general?
Yep. The 3 that you think everybody should listen to at least once, and 1 guilty pleasure.
I mean, does that have to be Sky albums or?
No. Usually they're not.
God. Man, I wish you'd emailed me about this beforehand, because I'm like, I gotta sit here like, doy.
He's like, K-Man's a jerk.
Gosh. There's so many. I mean, between my senility and all the music I've listened to over the years, that's a rough one.
Yeah, man.
Well, and by guilty pleasure, I guess you mean, you know, something to, you know, lose OI points, and you know,
that's right. Yeah.
There's plenty of that.
-1.
Jeez, God, even that, I don't know how to narrow that down.
Right.
I mean, I was trying to think of just my favorite albums and stuff.
Yeah, man.
I mean, and a lot of my favorite albums aren't even necessarily hardcore or ska, oi, you know. I mean, some of them are hip hop, some of them are. I mean, Massive Attack. I'm a big Massive Attack fan. You know, Massive Attack, Mezzanine. There
we go. That's 1. We got 1. All right. Massive Attack.
Massive Attack, Mezzanine. What else? Now I'm like, okay, now I should think of a hardcore album, but there's so many. There's just so many. Oh my God, you're killing me, dude. I don't like
music is to be shared, right? We got to tell the people, man.
Jeez. That you have to listen to, because then I start overthinking it. Then I'm like, well, what are the ones that just formed my, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
I should go back and look at my Facebook post. It's on there. killing me. That everyone should listen to. No, I'm not gonna go there. I was gonna go weird again. You know, I already did Massive Attack.
I love
I was gonna like Art and Noise and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm starting to sound like Scoochie now. I'd say any Sheer Terror album.
All right, Sheer Terror.
So I like Sheer Terror Love Songs for the Unloved. I feel like it was a sleeper. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like people, I don't know. I feel like it didn't get a lot of the hype in comparison to how I enjoyed that album personally. But anyway,
you know, I've never
Sheer
listened to it. I'm going to listen to it after
Love
the show,
Songs for the Unloved. I like it. That's 2, right?
Yeah.
And then oh boy, what's another full album?
Yeah, I'm an album guy, not a singles guy.
Yeah, well, geez. there's so many, but I mean, if I want to go back to the one that really solidified my like, yeah, hardcore is your thing, punk / hardcore, at least back in that time in the early 80s. But Black Flag Damaged was the one that just kind of like nailed it for me, and then the rest was history after that.
Amazing.
Now an album that's a guilty pleasure, an entire album?
Guilty pleasure can be a song for sure.
Oh, I don't know where to begin. I mean, should I still count the Duran Duran that I listened to back in 7th grade, or you know,
first concert I ever saw was Duran Duran on the Seven and the Ragged Tiger tour. Nice. Back when pop used to play music. I swear that's a true story at the Ottawa Civic Center.
It was my jam in like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, man. But
yeah, man, girls on film.
I guess you mean now though. Shoot. What do I like? There's every once in a while there'll be a pop song. Like I'm getting more and more detached from, you know, these pop songs that come that pop on and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that song and this and that. So, but like there's been like Madonna songs in the past that I liked and shit, and like just whack shit that, you know, normally I would, you know. Right? I'm trying to think something really modern and really whack because it's there. Let's see. What's like a TikTok song?
Pretty face, tight waist, big bass, or something like that, right?
Oh, that Super Bowl dude, that Weekend song, man. I whenever I hear that in my brain, you know, because it's total like pop song, but dude, I'm like, oh, this jam though, and I picture it as a ska song. You know
I'm so happy you say that because I do that all the time. I was listening to Hank Williams III the other day, and like, you know, oh, that could be done in ska, you know.
Well, you know me. I mean, all our parodies and stuff. You know, Skins Don't Cry, and
well, that's it.
I'm like the Weird Al Yankovic of ska, so I'll turn any song into.
The Weird Al Yankovic of ska. I fucking love it.
Skankovic. I'll turn any song into ska. But I mean, Travis, yeah, I don't know. I have so many guilty pleasures.
You've listed a couple.
I'm not avoiding it because, like, you know, I don't lose away points. But I'd love to admit them. But there's just so many. I listen to so much bad shit. You know.
Well, I love it. You know, just out there listening to music. You know, that's what we do. But man, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me tonight. And hopefully sooner than later we'll crisscross on this road that we call life, brother.
We will, man. Listen, I'm telling you, it's not. You know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. If people just hang on there, just wait. It's going to happen. And I'm just warning everybody, I'm going to be just gross and we're prolific, and we're going to be playing a lot of shows, and I'm going to be I have all this pent up, and I'm going to be even more obnoxious than usual. So anyway, thanks for letting me ramble.
I love it. Man, you stay cool and good health to you. I hope you test negative sooner than later, and you just fucking keep being you, man.
Absolutely, my man. We'll see you up in Montreal, I hope soon too. My tabernacle.
That's right, man. Next round's on me. Peace out, brother.
See you.
man don't know shit.
I might not know shit, but I know enough. I might not know shit, but I know enough. You might call me dumb, but I have a lot of fun. Might not know shit, but I know enough. I might not know shit, but I know enough. You might not know shit, but I know enough. You might call me dumb, but I have a